Alright, so in this video we're now going to be introduced to two new tenses that I'm writing in brown. That will be the pluperfect and the future perfect. And as always, embedded items in this video. So far we should be familiar with the present tense, imperfect tense, and future tense that are all written in green, indicating two things. One is that they all indicate action that is not completed, and two, morphologically, they all use the present stem. Now, we can draw a large dividing line. I never write in black ink on the board, but only when there needs to be a true line of demarcation, and that is exactly what we have between the three green tenses of incompleted action and the three brown tenses. Now, we're already familiar with the perfect tense. The perfect tense is going to indicate action in the past. It is a completed action in the past. And we have learned that it is much more simplified than the three green tenses, in that there are only two parts to it. It has a stem and an ending. Now it has the perfect stem, and remember the perfect stem is characterized by the fact that it has a either letter in it, like V, S, U, or X. It could be lengthened, or it could be reduplicated. And in a moment, we will see in the examples of the verbs on the board of these particular instances. But perfect stem. And all you then need to do is to add to it your perfect endings. And thus is the same with the two new tenses. You'll be using the perfect stem. So therefore, I will be writing those on the board in brown as well. And these two new tenses are the following. First, you have what is known as the pluperfect. The pluperfect is literally pluperfect, which means more completed. And that is your first item embedded in this video, the word plus, P-L-U-S, the word for more, where we get the English word plus. And the other item is going to be what we call the future perfect. Now again, all three of these guys use the perfect stem. Now where do we find the perfect stem? The third principal part, everything except for the long I. Do you see the V of V sucks? The third principal part. It's lengthened, V-I-D, V long I-D. The third principal part. Not only is it lengthened, but of course S of V sucks. The third principal part, yake, a lengthened stem from yak. And again, the third principal part. Everything except for the long I. So all three of those tenses are going to use it. Now, to make the pluperfect, all you're going to have to do is to take the perfect stem, whatever it might be, and then at that point, add your endings, eram, eras, erat. Eramus, eratus, erat. Now I know what you're thinking, or at least what you should be thinking. Those look just like the imperfect of the verb to be. Eram, eras, erat. You are right, they do. So why or how will you not confuse them? Do you see the dashes? These will be attached to a perfect stem. So when you see eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erat attached to a perfect stem, pluperfect. And I'll tell you how to translate those in a moment. Future perfect, you also use endings. Ero, eris, erit. And I know what you're thinking, yeah, those look like the future of the verb to be. And you are right. The difference is, and you can see it here, the breaking of the rules and the saying, Romans don't make them say int. Yes, they do. They do make them say int when it is an ending. So ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritus could double either as a future perfect ending if they are attached to a perfect stem, or if they were standing on their own, the future of the verb to be. But the future of the verb to be is erunt. When it is an ending, erint. And one of the reasons you can think about it as to why, you don't want to confuse it with the erunt of the perfect that's up there. Now, let's conceptualize as to when and why perfect and, or I should say pluperfect and future perfect occur. So here is a timeline. The vertical line is going to indicate action right now, the present. Everything to the left is before the present, we call that the past. Everything to the right is going to be the future. So let's first deal with the pluperfect. Pluperfect, which again means more completed, is an action that occurs before another action in the past. So let's say I did two things this morning. One, I brushed my teeth. And then two, I took a shower. Now, both of those occur in the past, but one occurs in what we can call the past past, because it is occurring even before the action of brushing. The way in English that we express a pluperfect action, which is action of the past past, is by saying, before I brushed my teeth in the past, before I did brush my teeth, before I was brushing my teeth, do you see, we could even use imperfect to indicate that action non-completed. Before that, I already had showered, had taken a shower. And that is the way that you will express pluperfect. Had. Because what does the helping verb English had indicate? Past action. Action before the past. And that's your second item. Had. H-A-D. That you'll be writing down for your Easy 100. So, before I brushed my teeth, I already had showered. Before that, I already had wakened. I had gotten up. And so, had is the way. Now, for the future perfect, it has two parts to it. One, the action will happen in the future, but it will be completed. So again, you have to think of it in terms of multiple actions in the future. So, I'm currently at school. In the future, after right now, I will drive home. Today, this evening, I also will eat dinner. So I think we can all agree that both this afternoon, now there's lots of other actions that I will do, but one of these actions will be completed before the other. And so the way that you can express an action in the future but completed is by saying, before I will eat dinner tonight, I already will have driven home. Will have. The helping verb will in English indicates future. The helping verb has or have indicates completion. So I will have driven home before I will eat dinner. And that is how you express the future perfect, with the statement will have. And that's your third item. W-I-L-L-H-A-V-E. Will have. And that's the expression. So, let's take a look at each one of these verbs that I have up here. And I'm going to indicate a particular person and a number that we're going to be filling out and then expressing what the translation will be. So now let's take some of these verb examples, and these are the very verbs that we had first used with our present tense flip books. And in the person and number expressed, we're going to express it in the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect. Remember, all you're doing is taking the perfect stem, which you've already underlined in brown, and then you're going to add the appropriate endings, isti, it, imis, istis, erunt, and I'm going to talk about the alternate ending. Eramaserata, ramaserata, ero, reserid, remesereserid for the pluperfect and future perfect, and then we'll translate them in the appropriate way. So, for over here, again, what we could do is we could go ahead and write in the perfect stem for all of them. I suppose I should have done that already, and from the magic of video, we're about to see them all written in automatically. Magic. And voila! All of our perfect stems have already been written. And remember the beauty of the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect. All we have to do is add our appropriate endings. First plural. E isti it. Imis istis erunt. Eramaraserat. Eramaserataserant. Ero eris erit erimis eritis erint. Let's translate them. We loved. We did love. We have loved. We had loved. We will have loved. Second singular. isti, it. Eram, eras, erat. Ero, eris, erit. Perfect stem, perfect ending. Perfect stem, pluperfect ending. Perfect stem, future perfect ending. You saw, you did see, you have seen. You had seen, and you will have seen. Over here, third singular. Isti, it. Eram, eras, erat. And ero, eris, erit. And so again, he sent, or she, or it. He had sent. And this is your next item, your fourth item. M-I-S-E-R-A-T. Miserat. That's your fourth item. He had sent. Miserat. And miserit. He will have sent. Moving on to Yakio, third plural. Now, pay close attention here. E isti it. Emis istis. Erunt. Yek erunt. They threw. They did throw. They have thrown. But now we are going to learn that there is an alternate ending. An alternate ending of erunt. And that alternate ending is ere. Now this is dangerous. And the reason it is so dangerous is because when you look at ere, you might think that it is an infinitive. So the key will be, whenever you see ere, is there a perfect stem to which it is attached? Now how will you know that it is a perfect stem to which it is attached? V sucks, or it's lengthened, or it's reduplicated. So the alternative could be yek ere. That doesn't look like yakare. Why? Because it has the perfect stem yek. The stems are key. You've got to pay attention to them to see whether you're dealing with the green tense's present stem, present imperfect and future, or the brown tense's perfect stem, perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect. So they threw, they threw. They did throw, they did throw. They have thrown, they have thrown. To show you an example, let's look up here for the verb vidya videre. The infinitive, V, short I, D, long ERE. But if it were this, do you see that perfect stem with the V long ID? The top one, to C, infinitive. The bottom one, they, because it's the equivalency of erunt. Saw, did see, have seen. And that's your fifth item, the ending alternate ERE, just ERE. That's your fifth item, ERE. Pluperfect, eram, eras, erat, eramis, eratus, erant. And the, of course, future perfect endings, ero, eris, erit, erimis, eritis, and when it is an ending of the future perfect, erent. If it were the future of the verb to be, it'd be E-R-U-N-T. But instead it is erent. They threw, did throw, have thrown. They had thrown in the past. They will have thrown. Completed in the future. And then finally, first person singular. E is the it. Do you see how that is the third principal part? So what is the third principal part? The first person singular. Perfect tense. Active, because the subject did the action. And then indicative, it's stating a fact. I heard. I did hear, I have heard. Eram, eras, erat. Eramas, eratus, erant. I had heard. And ero, eris, erit. Erimis, eritis, erit. I will have heard. And that's your sixth and final item. A-U-D-I-V-E-R-O. Audivero is what I'm putting in. So, the three tenses that are brown. Perfect, pluperfect, future perfect. How do we recognize them? Perfect stem, perfect endings. Perfect stem, pluperfect endings, which look like the imperfect of the verb to be, but they are attached to a perfect stem. And then perfect stem, future perfect endings, which look like the future of the verb to be, but will not be that because they are attached to a perfect stem. And of course, the translations that go along with each of those tenses. Learn them, study them, and do well.